Members present today, Hugh Austin. Wendy Carr sent an email a few days ago that she is resigning from the board. So I think you're aware of it. I'm pretty sure I forwarded that to everyone, so she won't be attending. Carol Lane, Cynthia, myself, Mary Beth. I have not heard from Linda Warner. Maybe she'll arrive later. So.
One of the emails that seemed you had sent, or it was sent to all of us, it seemed that she was going to be away.
What did it? Okay, well,
yeah,
maybe
no worries. She mentioned something about getting, or her daughters would help her out to get the minutes and the information.
Oh, okay. Well, all right, whatever. Okay, addition of agenda items. The RFP, we'll add that, and I'd like to introduce visitors today, Zachary Gates, Commissioner, and the other gentleman, I don't know.
Walt Woods.
Walt?
Walt, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Last name Woods.
Woods.
With an S.
Walt Woods.
I don't have an issue with that for one particular reason.
Okay.
Doesn't matter for this season.
All right, Mr. Gates, would you like to speak now or later on in the meeting?
I didn't necessarily have anything to speak. I'm trying to make it out to different boards, trying to be present in the community, and so I had a free time on my agenda, or thought I would come over to learn more about how things are going.
Okay, good. All right, well then we'll do that a little later. Any other agenda items that you'd like to be added? Okay, the minutes you have received at this meeting. Have you had time to read the minutes, and is there a motion to approve as presented or are corrections needed?
Hi. No, that's fine. Come on in.
I just had a question about the meeting times, and I have it in my notes from the January meeting that it was scheduled for April 11th, but we did change it. Should there be a notation about that?
The minutes were accurate as of the date.
Right.
Because I then reread the bylaws and saw that it was going to be bi-monthly, so the minutes are correct as a record of the meeting on that date. Okay, so is there a motion to...
Well, Linda,
you have another thing you want to comment? Go ahead.
Just the bottom there of the first page, Mr. Austin asked a question of Commissioner McClinko. Asked if the open seat will be filled. McClinko said it will not, since all board functions are present. Oh, okay, that was clear.
And that was correct. That was a correct record of his statement at the time.
Yes, it was.
Okay,
yes.
But then Mr. Austin asked how much information the BCL Advisory Committee had regarding state aid if this library status changes. And I didn't get the answer that Mr. McClinko...
I don't... I think it was that he said it was not going to be affected. And I thought I emailed that to you.
Well,
perhaps not.
Well, anyway,
okay.
I didn't fill it in. So shall we just add that as corrected then, the minutes?
Yes, you could add that.
Okay.
As an addition.
Okay.
Okay, any other matters in the minutes? Okay, motion to approve as with an addition.
I'll move.
Okay, second.
I second.
Okay, Cynthia, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. And may I have your name? Welcome to the meeting.
Thank you. My name is Margaret Moritz.
Margaret?
Yeah.
And last name?
Boritz. B-O-R-I-T-Z.
Okay, welcome.
Claire's daughter. I just don't have name. We have a different last letter. It's a very long story.
Did you say
all the way back to 1978. So.
Did you say ITZ?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'll let you have these during the meeting. Okay.
Oh, thank you very much.
Anticipate making enough extra copies.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, and correspondence. Rebecca, anything?
I don't have any official correspondence. Later on, I'll mention 2 items that were verbally directed towards the staff, but nothing written.
Okay. Okay, public comment? Do you have
Oh, I
anything
had
you'd like to-
submitted a resume to, and a letter of intent to apply for a board position
Oh,
to
okay.
Michelle Shitten. I don't know what she's done with it yet, but she
Okay.
suggested that I attend.
Oh, okay,
today.
all right, okay. And I just would like to ask, what area are you from?
I live, I live halfway between East Smithfield and Burlington. So it's Ulster, but it's not Ulster, so it's
Right,
Smithfield
Ulster
Township.
mailing address.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Smithfield Township.
The person that left the board, Wendy Carr, when she came on the board, she was
Raised.
representing Lorraysville Northeast School District. She had subsequently just moved to the Canton School District. So, at one time we tried to balance
Sure.
all areas of the county. So, but I'm glad you applied for the position.
Yes. I'm very much interested in the transition to an independent nonprofit.
Okay.
I've worked in nonprofits since 1988, and as well as kind of as a hobby, as well as both museums.
So did you complete the application that was on the website? Okay, great.
Well, I had to print everything and mail it to her, so that was about a month ago.
Oh, okay.
She sent me a note, but
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
All
Other
right,
than you should
well,
probably attend.
I was not aware of that, but it's very nice to meet you, and
Nice to meet you
perhaps
too.
you'll
I
be
hope.
joining the board.
I hope so. That would be nice.
Any other comment you'd like to make?
Oh, no, sorry.
Mr. Woods, anything?
No, I'm just here to observe today.
Okay, and Mr. Gates, got another chance.
I don't have anything, I believe, so
Okay.
please proceed.
Okay, all right. Rebecca, your interim report?
All right, so you have my report for January and February. Something that I did note on the report, that due to weather conditions, and this will also be noted in the bookmobile clerk's report, we had to cancel some bookmobile runs, we had to cancel some programs. Our policy has been, because we pool children and families from multiple school districts, specifically Towanda, Athens, and Troy, if 2 of the 3 school districts has a delay, then we automatically cancel learning time. It becomes a hardship for the families who need to get children on the bus, and so that has just been our policy. So we did unfortunately have very snowy Tuesdays, I felt, in January, so we canceled both a book group and a couple of learning times. So therefore our numbers are going to be a little bit down. You can also see that slightly our circulation was down in February, but again, it's a shorter month, and we had some closures due to, like President's Day. We are still tracking those that have access or mobility concerns, and we're going to continue doing that again until something is resolved with the automatic door openers, so those numbers are also provided. It didn't copy over. I apologize. In the future, I will be providing the number from our door counter. That number will be modified. Right now, the setting for the door is to track every other. So, it's only tracking, in theory, when you come in and not when you leave. From that number, I'm also going to subtract an estimated amount of staff per month so that we get more of a better picture of what the actual patron usage would be. So I will be providing that in the future. It didn't make it on the report, I see. That's just an estimate. We're not going to get an exact number from that. Depending on the wheelchairs, sometimes that it doesn't accurately record, or if parents are carrying a child or carrying them in like a car seat, that's only going to count as one. The idea is just to get an estimate of how many people are physically using our location. And again, it doesn't matter what they're doing inside our building as long as they're utilizing our facility. So that could be just hanging out and talking with the staff. That could be checking things out, using our internet, anything. It really doesn't matter. Something that was mentioned at the last board meeting was the Write Your Own Book competition. So we did get approval and funding from the Friends, so that did launch, and the deadline is next Wednesday. I did modify. I'm sorry, Cynthia, did you have a question?
I apologize. I'm still talking to myself.
No,
Because I read.
I thought you had a question.
Well, no, I read that something about it being discontinued for a bit or something.
Oh, it was postponed, yeah, because we didn't know what was going to happen,
sorry.
obviously. So it's back up and running, and the Friends are still sponsoring that. We did modify our usual timeline, obviously, because of everything going on, but we also adjusted the deadline to be on a Wednesday for submissions at any public library because our courier runs on Thursdays. We felt that that was easier for educators and families and encouraged higher participation because they wouldn't have to find a way to get it here or make a mental adjustment for when it needed to be dropped off in advance to another library. So hopefully we have good participation. The reception is scheduled for April 6th at 10 a.m. and Basil Bacorn, who is the board president of Mather Memorial, will be speaking about his writing experiences. He is a published author, and as a child he participated in the Write Your Own Book competition. So that's a fun tie-in.
What is his name again?
Basil Bacorn.
Oh, yes, I've met him.
Yes. Do you have any specific questions about either the statistics or the programs that I have cited here? I don't know if it's ever been explained to the board, but the reason why we do the population breakdown is because of the requirements for the annual report. So kids is 0 to 5, tweens are 6 to 11, and then 12 to 18 is considered teens, and then obviously anything above that's considered adults. That's why I have that noted there. Related to that, right now I have been very busy doing the annual report. This is the first time that I've done it. I didn't unfortunately have a chance to shadow Jeff when he was here, so that has been a learning experience, and that's why I want to apologize for not getting you the board report in advance for your review. The deadline for the annual report is tomorrow, and that is very significant. That has significant consequences for our library, so I've been making that a priority. And I will be sharing that when it's completed its review process. I will come back and report it to the board. For the most part, a lot of the information is things that you will have seen on your board meetings. A lot of that is like circulation, website, online usage. A lot of the same information is contained. So it won't be completely unfamiliar to you. I have noted on the bottom the meetings that I've attended. That also included the annual report training for new directors. I again want to commend the staff. The staff is, I think, working exceptionally hard. You will see in your reports that there's been a report added by the interlibrary loan librarian. When she's able, I've asked her to provide her statistics as well to kind of show you how much goes in and out of this building, either across her desk or through Flex, which is a new option through our cataloging system, where patrons can log in and directly request items to automatically ship from library to library. So again, that's all part of the circulation and how we share our collection with all of the other local libraries. But I do have to commend the staff for working exceptionally hard, because again, we're down Jeff's position at 40 hours a week. So that has been challenging.
Is this is,
I'm sorry.
I was just going to say concerning the interlibrary loan, is that a separate category at all on your annual report, or do these statistics get added?
I think that there are several questions that do address interlibrary loan.
Okay.
At least one or two, yes. Okay. So it does show, again, how the collection is being used. I would note that given our collection size for our area, we are utilized a lot to share with the other libraries. So, in the updates, the county is going to be changing our settings in order to connect with a county network. It will mean that we won't have internet for a few hours on a morning. It's currently scheduled for March 22nd. Friday mornings are the best opportunity to do kind of internet upgrades, just because we don't have to worry about heavy usage and or the courier run. We really need internet to make sure that we're getting all of the requests filled. The county has released the RFP for a library consultant, and I have a copy of that I placed on the front table. If you have not already reviewed that, I believe that was, I shared that with the board.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're already aware of that. I mentioned earlier that there were 2 verbal requests that I wanted to bring to the board. We received a request from a community member asking if they could utilize our sign out front to advertise for the Troy High School alumni. They're having a get-together, a meeting or something like that in May. I don't know that we've ever had a request for somebody else to use our sign.
I don't believe so.
I don't know what the board's thoughts.
Where is the meeting going to be? Is it going to be here?
It's not going to be here. It's somewhere out towards Troy, and that's fine if we politely decline, but I said that I would at least bring it forward to the board.
Are you knowledgeable about this?
You said the alumni reception, is that what?
Yes, I think so.
That's going to be held May 17th. It's a gathering of all alumni that choose to come and other than that, I don't know.
Yeah, an alternative that just occurred to me now, instead of maybe letting them use our sign out front, we could certainly hang a flyer for them. We hang up a bunch of community flyers. We already have that established policy on our front door window. Is that something that you would like us to offer instead?
Well, it's just if we open it to one group, and
Then,
I'm sure it's a great thing. Carol was honored several years ago. It's a wonderful event.
Well, this is the alumni reception. It's
this is the alumni reception. So that's it's not the distinguished alumni.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just an annual gathering.
But I think then we'd have to offer it to so many other groups.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not that this isn't a good group, but then we might
the
all
library
of a
has
sudden
a
have
priority.
10 groups vying for, we want this week. And I think the sign was originally donated in memory of Roger Madigan, who had done so much for libraries. And it was specifically to advertise library events was what it was given for. So what are others' thoughts on that?
I think the sign in the window or somewhere prominent is a good
That makes
idea.
sense, yeah. I
It is to
agree.
me, because I think it opens up Pandora's box.
I think so, yeah.
When you start letting everybody, you aren't going to have enough sign room.
Well, you wouldn't, and then you'd be like you're picking favorites or something. So I think it's better just to allow the sign on the window.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Another request that was brought to my attention, I'm not sure, maybe some of the board members who have a longer history with the library may remember. A community member said that once upon a time, in addition to the writing competition for students in 1st through 8th grade, there was a separate writing competition for those with special needs. I don't
was not aware of that.
I don't remember that since I've been here, and that's just 11 years. However, I think it might be something worthwhile for us to consider in the future. Obviously, with the number of local homes nearby and our accessibility, we have a lot of service to that specific population, that it might be a fun program to offer.
And then with this,
Was this-
who would be in that category? Would
Yeah.
it be all learning support students available?
Well, and
Also,
I wouldn't
I mean,
even
you'd
limit
have to
it
draw
just
this up.
to, we would have to think about it. And so maybe if you reflect on it and can provide some feedback, this was specifically in regards to an adult with special needs who is in, they called it like a daycare program,
They
where
call it day program.
day program, yeah. But this individual loves to ride, and they thought that it would be really fun to submit and have a similar competition. Again, given the fact that we are so accessible and we do want to represent our full community, and it may be something worth looking into, since the writing competition is a program that separates us from the other libraries. It's something special that our library offers. So I feel that might be worthwhile. So if you have ideas about how maybe we could approach that, either in terms of the scope or and anything like that, I would be receptive to feedback. And I can come back to the board when we have a better idea of what that might look like.
I could put it on the agenda for the next meeting, for
Yeah.
us to share, or you can, cover all of it. So this would be a writing program for adults.
Adults, or I don't know. I mean, whatever we decide.
Would we say
I'm
with
receptive.
special needs? I don't know, or
I think you
I
would,
really don't know. You might have an insight.
well,
a little bit.
I just think it probably would work to do school age, and then
Then
those that are
adult.
out of
yes.
school. Well,
Rebecca, just a thought,
we could call them adults.
before any
Right.
firm decision is made or policy is established, if this person is so eager to write, I mean, I just love that. I mean, couldn't we give him or her some time somewhere before there's a competition to just come in and read something to somebody or some group? I don't know what that could be, but just to give a person
Like a bit of
an
audience.
opportunity,
Right,
yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. To come to our board meeting.
Sort of a practice before the competition, or
Right.
if we have a competition. Come to the board meeting
Yeah,
and
come
read,
to the board meeting,
read
and if they
his
wanted
or her
to
work.
read their poem or
Mhm.
story.
Yeah.
Whatever, and I mean, I think it's something that needs a lot of thought,
Mm-hmm.
and it sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a good addition, so I guess all of us can be thinking about it, and Rebecca and your staff, and maybe other librarians too.
So why don't we put a note
discuss
on
it.
the agenda so that we can revisit it and
Yeah,
maybe
right.
hash it out some more.
Yeah,
I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
First of all, I think we should also look at the impacts on the staff. Like, would it require them to, devote time that maybe they don't have?
Right.
well, we do some volunteers, I believe, also help do the readings, because I've done that over the years. Are some of you involved in reading?
Yes, that is true, but
Volunteers.
that
Yeah.
is a
Are
good
part of
point to mention, Hugh, because it will require staff time in terms of advertising and just managerial, which, to be quite honest, at this point in time, I'm not thinking that this is something we would add immediately. Maybe because we already have this competition in like this spring season, maybe this particular writing competition, maybe we would do it in the fall instead to kind of space it out or give us more time to figure it out.
Okay.
Maybe.
And the other question I had was, did this person come out of like Martha Lloyd or SERV or something like that?
They didn't mention what program. It was a woman, and she was in reference, I believe, to her son. And she didn't say specifically what program he was involved in.
Okay.
I believe it was a son. But just that they really loved writing, and she thought that she would at least ask and see if there was an opportunity.
Okay.
excuse me, was she asking for the opportunity for a writing contest?
Yes. Yeah, like she was wondering if they could enter into, like if they would qualify to enter into this writing competition, or if there was something else that they could do, another opportunity.
Okay, thanks for stopping by.
Got it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think it's something to pursue. It's a good idea.
I would just add that if you were looking at the adults, the groups that you could look at would be the service providers such as Martha Lloyd Community Services, Futures, and there are a couple, let's see who else, Penn York Opportunities, and there are a couple of others, but that would be a way of approaching it, but we're just in the baby stages, so.
I have a question, if I might. Listening to this, I just wanted to, I'm curious. I must have missed something. Do they want to teach writing?
No, they just want to be able to submit things that they've written. Us to, as if it were the writing competition, but instead have it targeted for those with special needs. Like, yeah. So in theory, modeling after our existing writing competition, they just want to be able to write a book and submit it and have it be reviewed by someone.
Because there are age limitations, correct? It's first through 8th grade.
It might be a phenomenal opportunity to tie it into literacy.
That's true.
And just with this, and I mean this on a very, very simple level. I went to art school first before I settled down. I was a tutor, a writing tutor for a lot of classmates. And one of the things that we did was, and this was before the ease of a smartphone or a tablet where you can use a microphone to dictate. I used to use a tape recorder when they had a hard time deciding what they wanted to do to write for a paper, and just record it, and then and then transcribe it, and then edit from there. And it was for people that were frozen with the idea of getting an idea on paper. It's very simple, and might be something. I mean, I know it would. You'd have to get volunteers because staff time is precious. But that, if you over the summer or maybe in the winter months or once a month, the library sponsored something like that for people with special needs to learn how to express themselves in writing and get used to it, you would get a lot of, you'd get a lot of attention and praise and maybe even funding specifically for someone to, for the library, for its time, and for a tutor or something. Just someone to sit down, and it's easy. It's a printer, it's some simple tablets, it's anything that records something that you can print, and then they can. But to increase literacy and the desire to write and express yourself with people with special needs, oh my God, that's a huge one. And that would knock it out of the park for
Sounds like
I don't know anybody who's doing anything like that. So, I don't mean to make it sound more complicated, but I'm sorry. If there's some way to turn it into brain surgery, I'm going to do it. It's like, oh, good, an idea. Great. Okay, let me find something.
I was looking for feedback because, again, this was just an idea that I thought had value.
It's an idea
so
that
I'm glad you're
thinking a boy's mother might be interested in doing. Do you think if she had time? Like I said, it's not. You don't need a writing teacher.
No.
You need someone who's patient, encourages them to speak, and then shows them how to edit it once it's printed out. So that can be something that's,
Yeah, that's beautiful. That could come to me.
Did you start in the beginning suggesting this through the literacy program? Did I
not
hear
necessarily.
that?
It could be. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's something else entirely. It's just, if it could be through the literacy program to kind of give a little juice to that, it could be its own program. I think maybe partnering with literacy might get somebody from the literacy program to be able to coach that. But even if it was something that was offered once a month, and I think one of my most, I can say just with other programs and other things that I've tried to coordinate, one of the hardest things is trying to develop something that is convenient for everyone. So nobody can, but if there was one evening or alternating, sometimes it's a morning, sometimes it's an evening, and there was a literacy volunteer, like a literacy program volunteer that would bring that in with the library, it would really, I think it's, and maybe some of the even existing literacy students that are, that are trying to do that. Trying to do that. It's to write a book is the first. I mean, it's funny because writing a letter would be the first step technically, but to write a book and then to move on from there and to be able to express your thoughts and see them on paper and then see how you might want to change them could be a good
it's a life
mental
skill.
exercise. Like
It's
it's just
also life skill. I mean, it helps them to develop their
to see
mind.
it. Yeah, I mean, there's okay, it's music and it's been going for years, but there's the Whitney High music program where they write it's high school students that are mentally and physically challenged, and for years they've been writing and recording their own music, and they release CDs of it, and they write their own. They're encouraged to write their own songs, and then the music teachers in the program help them get the sound that they want. But so that's complex, but this I think could be very simple, and very effective.
Sounds like it would be beneficial for many, and so we
Yeah,
welcome
it gives
ideas.
people a voice. I mean, teach people how to speak first, but teach them how to write, and it's down on paper, and it's pie in the sky, 3 or 4 years, you've got the idea of publishing something, and then with social media, God knows where you could take anything. So I don't know. That's what I thought. That's what I was thinking. I was hearing you saying, but it could start as submissions, but if people needed help
preparing, even
help
maybe
preparing for that, and then that becomes a slow
again, if
build.
we're have overview in mind of where we're going, maybe we could do that for a couple of months before.
And then they present,
the
and they would have embellished products, and there's something.
Right, exactly.
So it becomes something where they're taken very seriously. Anyway, sorry.
It
was exciting. I heard you start to talk about that. I thought, oh wow, that's really giving people a voice, and that's just such an important part of libraries. So,
Yes, and we definitely want to be inclusive.
Yeah, great conversations. Sounds like
thanks for letting me.
really good.
speak.
Yeah, well, we appreciate your input immensely.
So I have a couple of ephemera things that I did not note on the director's report. This is something that the North Central Library District that we're a part of, that's from James V. Brown and Williamsport. They developed this passport, book a trip to your library, and it tells you a little bit about the different resources that are available at the library, and if you open it up all the way, it'll give you a map. So this is something that you'll see at our library and at some of the other ones that I wanted to bring to your attention.
You'll be producing that for the.
We'll be handing them out, yeah.
But will it be for our library as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. There's like a game, like a scavenger hunt or something that they can participate in doing activities. You'll see that there's like a checklist on one of the
So are they at the desk now, or are they coming?
They are coming. We just got them like today. So they haven't, this one has been folded specially for the board. So you can see kind of what the end product is supposed to look like. It's supposed to look like a passport.
Okay.
So that is coming out. This is the newest PA1 book, again, that I just received, Slug in Love. So every year Pennsylvania does a 1 book. I'm a little disheartened. This year we only got 1 hardcover copy. Typically we have gotten 2. So I think I will go ahead and purchase another copy. We usually always dedicate 1 for strictly bookmobile use and then the other for in library use. So we'll see in the future what kind of programming I'm able to offer with this. Historically, it was a stronger program because we would get kits that had specific toys and activities planned for the book, but that's something over time that the state has done away with. I think they did away with that in like 2016 or 2017. But you will see that around as well. This fall, I believe all of the libraries will be participating. I have a stamp, stickers. Smokey the Bear is celebrating his 80th birthday this year. So we are in discussions about having someone dress up in a Smokey the Bear costume and attending programs at all of the different libraries. I believe that's going to be more towards fall, like October is Fire Prevention Month. So I think we're going to try tying in with that then, as opposed to incorporating it in with our summer reading program. I'll be adding this new title to our professional development collection. It's 50 plus programs for tweens, teens, adults, and families, 12 months of ideas. Again, that's something that we house for the system. The professional collection has a variety of books that are designed to help with librarianship. So that will be added to the collection shortly. After the annual report, I will be gearing up for summer reading. So this is a new workbook about designing equity-based summer reading programs. So again, about being inclusive and making sure that you are advertising appropriately to all the different demographics and including them. That will be included. It's not noted in my report because it's just for January and February, but I missed Tuesday in March. March 5th was my grandmother's birthday, so I had a volunteer present story time, Abby Greeno. She's a teen volunteer who has helped us before with summer reading. And she presented on maple syrup making, and it was a lot of fun. We had, I think, 30 in attendance. Nice. It was really well attended. And if anybody's interested, she supposedly, I didn't get to taste any of these because I wasn't here, but crackle top maple cookies. So we have that recipe that the staff is handing out to those who are interested. And the last thing I wanted to mention before we go on, at the January meeting, I mentioned the Yodo. I thought that just so happens, again, my children left one in the car this morning. So this is the larger size, and actually I will be making a purchase shortly because these have just gone on sale, the larger size. I was holding off on purchasing because the minis, the smaller size, I want to purchase for the older kids, the juvenile kids, is still out of stock. But since these have gone on sale, I'm just going to go ahead and purchase these and then wait for the minis to come in stock. Again, that's an audio book option instead of doing CDs. They play with these little cards. You don't need to have Wi-Fi once they're downloaded to the player. It's something that my family has been utilizing for 2 years, and they clearly absolutely love it because they listen to it before school in the car with their player.
Is that fun? Are there funds available in the library budget for that, or is that a grant?
It would definitely come out of our book budget. It's basically a change in format. So instead of us purchasing audiobooks on CD for the children's department, instead we would be investing in the Yodo products and transitioning into that.
Okay.
So it's just a trade-off, one for the other. Before we go on to the rest of the meeting items, does anybody have any questions or comments?
Yes, actually mine was at the beginning of your presentation. I was just curious about the automatic door openers, what the timeline is for them.
We haven't heard anything.
Oh.
We haven't heard anything. I last had a meeting with the commissioners in January. We had a follow-up meeting scheduled, and that's been postponed indefinitely. So I haven't received any updates, and that's why I've encouraged the staff to continue to keep track, just in case that doesn't happen, so we could still have the option of applying for grants. Yeah, I don't know when that's going to occur. Obviously, we're heavily utilized, and I think that is the sole barrier left to us in being truly accessible. It's just those doors are so heavy and cumbersome to open up when you have somebody, especially in a wheelchair.
Yeah, it's not good.
So we're working on it. I don't have any information. The commissioners said they'd be willing to cover those costs, but I don't know. We had received a bid in December, I think, of 22, and that was from a company in Williamsport. I think I provided that maybe at the last
We
meeting.
had that. I think
Yeah.
Jeff gave that to us or whatever.
Yeah, and it was like-
40-ish or something?
Yeah, it's 45. It was over
45.
45,000
45.
to get those installed, and it would be on all of the doors here in the lobby area, just so they could get into any of the rooms, not just.
And it would be like the
library.
button.
Yep,
type.
the push
It
button.
wouldn't just like as you walk up to it, open.
Yes,
all
no,
the
it's the
button.
push button.
And we have buttons.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, I think this has been continuing for quite some time.
Okay.
Right? Hasn't this?
Oh,
right?
yes, yeah, that,
It's
yes,
been over
that
a
just,
year, right?
yes,
Or more?
yes, it's been over because, as I mentioned, that bid was received, I think, in December of 22, and we had started tracking usage before then so that we could show that there was a need, that we were being utilized in this manner that made it difficult for our patrons. So yes, we have been tracking since, I think, November or October. No, it's probably October of 22.
And I gave a copy of that bid to Mr. Thorpe, the financial director, at a library advisory committee meeting, because we spoke of how important that was. So Mr. Thorpe has that copy of that particular company, that bid. So we will see if we can get any movement on it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for your report and all the discussion. We are going on to the financial report, and which we are just seeing, and usually at this time of the year there aren't any concerns. Now, since Wendy was serving as the treasurer, we will need someone to step forward as a treasurer, if anybody would like to do that. Usually the treasurer is just in conversation with the director. Are there any issues that you can see that we should focus on? As you recall, in previous meetings, we used to just say to Jeff and now to Rebecca, are there any things that are a concern at this point in time? Now, the only thing that we'll note is a bit different from this report is these are all Bradford County Library reports. And previously we did receive literacy information also.
Yes.
And Alan did speak to me about that the literacy
Has been separated out.
has been separated out. I was totally unaware of that. I did not know that the literacy has been separated out. But they always did have a different department number. And because they always used to say like, okay, this is literacy and this is the library. So it's a smaller report because it is all on the Bradford County Library. So we just received our folders today. Is there any literacy report in these?
No,
Okay,
no,
so I have
no.
not heard a word from the literacy coordinator. So maybe I'll give her a call and just see. I mean.
Well, it was a decision made by the county commissioners, and I was under the impression that they would be in communication with the board. That's why I didn't say anything.
No.
Again, we had just had a meeting in January. We were scheduled for a follow-up, and I just have not had an opportunity at that meeting. They mentioned their decision to separate the two.
Okay,
so
I'll kind of follow
What was
up.
the meeting? You mean you as the interim library director?
Yes, and it included Sarah Fowler
The
and
literacy.
Yes,
Literacy.
yep, and Leah Chisholm Chafee talking about. I think the commissioner's hope is that perhaps the literacy would become a 501c3 themselves and try to get additional grants or funding. But I'm not sure that's something, Marguerite, you could specifically ask the commissioners, their reasoning behind that decision. But right now, as it stands, they have been pulled from the library department.
Yeah, so we always cooperated before, and the reports were always included before. So the first I knew about it was when I spoke with Alan about sending the agenda and the materials. And so I'll try to follow up with commissioners and see if I can find out any information about that.
Possibly, because it is separate now, maybe that's why the director of literacy isn't submitting a report to us.
Well, yeah,
Right,
yeah.
yeah. I can see that, but we always were interested in the
Yeah, no,
literacy.
she did a great job.
And
It
the
was,
literacy-
actually, it's a more holistic
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah, and the literacy was always part of the library. It grew out of the library. With
Yeah.
Sherry Spencer. Yeah, so. Okay, so I'll, got some stars of things for me to follow up on. Okay, so anything, Rebecca, that you want to note or at this point in time?
In regards to the budget or to literacy, no. The budget, I think, is fine. There are no concerns right now. I think the only thing that might change in the future, again, is just addressing the staffing concerns. But that was the only thing that I can see significantly impacting the budget is if there was a decision to hire more staff. But otherwise, right now, I see nothing.
So is it 40 hours then that you're down?
Yeah.
It's the director's position?
Yes, because I am now the interim director, but that takes me away from being the youth services librarian. Obviously, I'm still trying to cover both roles as best I can, but that means that there's less full-time staff in the building. Dwight, obviously, we don't count on him as in-house staff, right? Because he's supposed to be on the road. So typically during the 8 to 4 shift or 8 to 5 shift, that only leaves 3 staff members. And we always want to have 2 on hand because of the size of our facility and our location. It's like a security safety concern. So that really only leaves wiggle room for one person to either be out sick or scheduled vacation, or, there have been complications where it's hard to cover.
So is that something that you brought to the attention when you go to the library director's meeting? Like the most recent one?
Well, the directors don't really have.
Or the
You mean
meeting
when
that you talked
to the commissioners?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are aware. I think they are not going to proceed with anything until after the library consultation has
been completed.
Yeah, perhaps. So I would just ask grace for the staff members and, gold stars because they're all doing extra work to try to keep things stable. It's unfortunate, but we're not going to be able to keep up the same level of programming that we had pre-pandemic with Jeff and I both working. It's just not possible.
Well, you're doing a good job. I think everybody's doing a good job at this point. Okay, literacy reports. So I guess those were not received.
No.
And will not be received in the future. We'll see about that. Is there a bookmobile report? I don't see any.
Yes, it is.
there?
He just doesn't have a header on it. It says totals for January and February. It says
Is that
walk-ons.
bookmobile?
Yep, that's bookmobile.
Okay.
He just doesn't have a header on the top.
So how many days a week is he going out on, I know about the snow days, et cetera, but on the average, is he going out like 3
It's
days
a
week?
minimum of 3 days, but typically 4 days. And
Good.
then if he does any community events, a lot of those are on Saturdays.
Oh, okay.
So it really depends, but he is out of the building quite frequently.
Okay.
As he noted on his report, obviously we haven't been doing as many community events. He was very busy this past fall, and now he has a lot of phone calls and requests coming up for spring
Oh, that'll be good.
activities. That includes Arts Fest.
That's
He will
May
be,
sometime, isn't it?
Yep,
Very beginning.
yep, Arts Fest, or Arts for All. I'm sorry,
Yeah, it
that's the
It's all right.
Arts for
It's
All.
Arts for All is the right. I misspoke. Arts for All. He will also be helping the Alan F. Pierce Library. I believe it's a kindergarten. All their kindergarten classes are touring their facility, and they wanted to see the bookmobile as well.
Oh, nice.
So he'll be going out there. There's a Touch a Truck event scheduled up in the valley in the spring.
Oh, yes.
So he'll be going to that. And I think maybe one at the State Park, Mount Pisgah. So we have been getting a lot of requests, and that's wonderful. He's doing a wonderful job. He's getting out in the community.
That's great. Okay, so that's submitted. And going forward, if you could just put dates
header.
too.
Yeah.
The header and, you know, the date, January and February 2024. Okay, and children's, we've already seen your report, correct?
Yes,
We've already
yeah,
reviewed
because
that.
I'm doing all the
Yeah.
programming.
And what did your book group, what book did they read last month?
In someone else's shoes.
And are these still held once or twice?
Once a month.
Once a month.
Once a month.
And that's an evening,
Tuesday afternoon.
Tuesday afternoon? Because
I
at one
think it's
time,
the-
weren't you doing a 6 p.m. one also?
There was, yeah, that was a different one that I think that was during the pandemic kind of time period. Esther Lapitan, one of our part-time clerks, was running that. But I think the interest waned there, or either that or she was no longer able to do that. So we're back to just the third Tuesday of the month at 1 o'clock book group meeting. And that's something that Terry Fritchman, the interlibrary librarian, and myself lead
Okay,
for right now.
all right, great. Building and grounds, Linda isn't here. I would like to take off the red Christmas loops and stuff and change the entrance there. So I'll try to reach Linda and maybe put some, spring things or something. Clean that up. System board, Carol.
Okay, well, the last meeting was very, very lengthy. It was 2.5 hours, and we covered many items of which is going to be taking place in this transition of our libraries. And of course, as already mentioned, we received a request for proposal for the hiring of the library consultant. The information that I got from Leah was that it was unclear as when this was going to be expected, but I see Rebecca has some dates in here of when that's going to take place better than what I had.
Well, that's at least the deadline
Yeah.
for applicants, and then they have up to 60 days.
60 days.
60 days to make a decision to
Well,
hire
we-
someone.
Earlier, when we got the information from Leah, it was pretty vague. She didn't know, but this is more updated, okay? It's anticipated that each library will receive approximately $580 for the summer reading programs. We received a financial literacy grant for youth. That article was in the newspaper. It's in the Canton paper today. That program is expected, or that funded or grant is probably going to be released sometime late this summer or fall.
And how is that going to be utilized? Is that going to be through the system?
It's a kit. Everybody is given the opportunity to do the training. We applied as a system. I had called the board in charge of the grant, and they said that we could apply as a system. That gave us kind of more leverage because we have a larger population. So all of the libraries will have the opportunity to be specialized, like in the training. To do a training, we'll get one kit, and all of the libraries will share it and schedule programming accordingly. The requirements for the grant is that we have to offer so many programs for different age groups, again, regarding financial literacy. So,
sounds like a pretty good program because
yeah.
these kids will learn how to budget.
It's the one that was written in the paper, I believe,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
It was reported that there are grant opportunities for the libraries for the T-Mobile Home town grants and the Gladys Brooks Foundation. Many of those can be used for upgrades in the libraries and so on. Everyone should have received information about the Friends and Trustee training for March 23rd. The Bradford County Library and the Towanda Public Library have purchased group logins, and the system may possibly purchase a third. It hasn't been decided exactly, unless you know more, Leah, as to where there's going to be held for sure.
No, and I don't think that, so it's our friends group that is planning on purchasing registration for that, and I can follow up with them. I'm not sure if that's actually happened yet, but I don't think they're planning on hosting a viewing on the 23rd. I think they're scheduling an event after the fact, because there will be a recording that's available for I forget the dates off the top of my head, but for so long, so many weeks after the initial March 23rd session. So then that way you can pick and choose which sessions you want to watch, and you don't have to worry about any conflicts, and there should also be bonus materials. But that's something that the Friends have decided to purchase, and they're doing their own.
Okay, so there won't be anything here on
Not to my knowledge, on March 23rd. I think they're planning on using their registration to access the materials at a later date, because it's available for weeks after.
Okay.
Yeah.
She did mention that there could possibly be held a gathering at the Emergency Management Building.
Right, Public Safety Center.
Yeah. And perhaps have 3 different rooms set aside because of the fact that there are 3 different sessions going on. Yeah. She was inquiring as to if I knew how many of our membership was planning to attend, if anybody was planning to.
Well, I would attend.
What's the date?
It's the 23rd. It's a Saturday, the 23rd. It's a week.
But Leah hasn't got this set up yet, has she?
No, and see, we don't have another meeting until next
That's what I was
Thursday.
thinking. Today is the 14th.
And next Thursday is our systems board.
Right.
So I'm really not sure what
I'm
her
just
plans are for.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if she's going to register, because she did speak about reimbursing the Friends for the license they paid for if the system could pick it up. And I don't think this is all set up to go yet, because since these lessons could be archived.
We as a board have not heard anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would recommend that you reach out to her and you could ask for clarification. I don't know. I haven't heard anything else.
And I'm just wondering where she's going with it, because I think in one of her messages she mentioned that she would not be around that day.
Yes, she did say she was going to be presenting somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's
Yes,
actually
because
presenting.
She
is
even
my
said she
unders-
might put me in charge. And I thought, wow, having a check person there, it's going to be 3 things in 3 rooms, you know.
I think she's actually presenting at the conference, like
she might
virtually.
be, so she's not available. So I
No.
said, well, there needs to be, if it's going to be at the Public Service Center, there certainly needs to be a tech person, because to get all of the equipment, everything going. So I don't think it's really quite ready to roll out. Do you think it's quite ready to roll out?
No, I haven't heard anything from Leah about
So, see,
that.
I would attend.
Yeah, okay.
If you want to ask who would attend, I'd like to attend.
Could I just ask, is this that libraries and the law and the HR presentation that you sent us the email about a couple of weeks ago?
I don't know if it's that. It's a
You said something
seminar
about
for-
that there was more information going to be
Well,
coming.
there was going to be coming.
Right, I know,
We haven't
and,
had more information coming,
But that
yeah.
we had, you kind of implied that we had to individually apply, register,
Yeah.
so that we would be able to watch it in
I'm
the
not sure if
future.
that's one of the-
I'm not sure if that's one, because there's ones that are specific for friends groups and board groups and
okay.
you know, trustees. And there are different seminars, and there's like, what, a total of 4 or 5? There's 3 sessions each time, and there might be 4 different sessions.
I can look and see, Hugh, after the meeting, if libraries and law is maybe one of the names for one of the sessions.
Yeah.
I can look or
Yeah,
see
I
if
remember
that's
that was
something.
one of them, and then
or if
another
there
one
is
was something
something
about
else.
HR.
That
I
might
think
be
at the
something
last
else.
Friends meeting, they did
Right.
have a printout, and
Right.
that's when it was noted that Leah is going to be presenting. So that might have been one of the sessions, or that might have been something else. I can check.
Okay.
So we need to, will you check with Leah, or do you want me to check with her, or Rebecca, who's going to check? Because if she wants people to have this information about when they can attend these sessions and where, We need to know that if it's next Saturday, not this Saturday,
Yeah,
but next Saturday.
Yeah.
Do you have any contact with her before then, or?
I would recommend you as the system board
Okay.
rep get a definitive answer from her.
Okay. And then at the meeting, we also reviewed several of the library system policies. We did the conflict of interest policy, which every library should have, and it should be updated regularly. We had the system collection policy, which the system must have, but each library can adopt their own. They're proposing that maybe the 9 libraries combine their policies and have just one policy for the 9 libraries. I don't know.
I don't think that that's very feasible.
Well,
Yeah.
it's been suggested.
Yeah.
Where it goes,
She's just reporting on the
Yeah.
meeting.
where it goes, I
Yeah.
don't know. The system personnel policy was tabled to March. The letter of agreement has to be signed by April 1st. I think, Marguerite, you have to sign that. Do you have a
Have
copy?
I signed that? I don't know.
I
I signed
It
it
was
when
around
requested.
earlier,
Yeah.
but I don't know whether. For the systems administrators evaluation, a committee was formed, and it was hoped that all the directors of the libraries would have that completed and submitted by next Thursday, because that committee wants to meet and possibly review that and go over that with Leah at the next meeting.
You said the evaluations are due next Thursday.
At least by then,
Yeah.
because she wants to, they want to review that after the systems meeting. Yep. Okay. The strategic plan is due in October. They're looking into whether a grant is available for hiring a strategic planning trainer, but it was kind of decided that for the time being that we should use a Band-Aid strategic plan rather than wasting time and money on a plan now, and then the libraries in this transition period changing and all have to be redone again. And the same thing with the bylaws. We went over the idea of the bylaws, and it was pretty much decided there again that maybe we just leave everything as it is until this transition has been made. So that's where that stands.
It was a big meeting. Good attendance.
Yes, it lasted forever.
You were thorough.
Most of the libraries are having difficulty finding an auditor because the auditors don't want to do a small business such as a library.
I think
And it's very, very expensive, and a lot of the smaller libraries cannot afford it. So there again, they're researching the possibility of maybe if they can get someone to do it, to maybe they do all 9 libraries. Don't know whether that's a feasible plan or not. That's what we're looking into.
Good idea.
They're discussing having an author event for possibly late August, and that will be Samuel Gailey. He's a native of Wyalusing with 3 books about the Wyalusing Black Walnut area.
Yep.
And they seem very excited about that. And his book, Come Away From Her, has been receiving great national press, so something maybe we want to check into reading.
I will say that our book group is doing that right now. So that's the book that we'll be discussing on Tuesday.
Okay.
There is, the system has purchased several copies so that the other libraries may do it for their book group.
There was conversation about having a book fest and having a limited number of authors, and several authors' names from the area were thrown out, but if anybody has the name of someone they think that should be featured in a book fest, if you can get that name to either Leah or myself, we will consider those.
Wes Skillings pops to mind.
He was one that was mentioned at the meeting.
Okay.
I may have mentioned you.
Oh, me?
that's an author,
Not in their category, no.
And the system received the Peggy Barber grant, which, with that grant, they plan to host a community conversation in partnership with the Bradford County Regional Arts Council for the screening of one vote. And then they would like to have a panel discussion afterwards about voting rights, how to register to vote, how to volunteer as a poll worker, followed by a meet and greet by some of the representatives of the area. And they're talking of possibly having that in maybe August or September. And National Library Week is April 7th to the 13th. And the theme is Read, Set, Library.
What's that date again, please?
April 7th through 13th. And because the commissioners are dealing with another proclamation that particular week, she has asked that they do it on March 28th at their meeting.
I think previously, I may be wrong, they had asked for a member of the board or librarian to attend that commissioners meeting, and they did a photo op with the bookmobile behind.
They might have done that in the past.
Yeah, in the past, a couple years ago, I think.
There was nothing said about that.
No, I just, I don't know.
Yep.
If she'd like people from libraries to attend the meeting when the proclamation's read.
Marguerite, do you have anything else to add?
Well, no, it was a lengthy meeting, a lot of good discussions, a lot of good ideas. Seemed like there was excitement in the room for this book fest and the author event and things, and everybody working together. I thought it was a very good meeting. Okay, any other questions? All right, Friends group, do you want to report on anything? Do you have anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, we had a meeting, oh gosh, it was a few weeks ago. I guess I did not take many notes from that one.
Okay, well, just generally anything you want to say about any requests for funding, any programs or anything, or? Rebecca, you might have knowledge of anything coming up, or?
I do know that they're looking to transfer the board members. A lot of their terms have expired, and so since the library looks like it will continue into the future, and so will the Friends, they're looking to transition that to new members. That hasn't occurred yet. I know that they're still working on lining up new members and scheduling a meeting to do a transition to new members.
Officers.
Officers.
Okay.
For the board. And otherwise, I don't have any updates from them. Again, they've agreed to, continue the financial support for like the Write Your Own Book competition. Right now, we don't have any other requests in for them to support programs or supplies or anything like that.
Are they doing anything with the writing book contest? We used to do like a reception cookies punch.
Yes. Yeah. They're taking care of that.
Okay.
And they'll pay for the books to be published. That's actually like the more substantial cost. We used to use a local bookbinder. He passed away shortly after I started, and so we found a new company that we can send them scanned pages, and then they put together the book. But it can be costly considering how many pages might be in a story, especially like for the 7th and 8th grade category. Mm-hmm. Sometimes there's a lot of pages in there. So it can be like $500 to $700 to get all 4 books published. So we're thankful that they have continued financial support for that.
Excuse me a minute. Carol, you said that the system is going to sponsor the Sam Gailey appearance?
Yes.
Okay, because the Friends sponsored the author that I asked to come in last year,
Oh, okay.
or you're,
Yes, they
Yes,
do frequently,
'cause they do,
will
yeah.
cover speaking events and things
Right.
like that.
Right.
Right now, we just haven't scheduled a lot of adult programming just because of the shortage.
Okay.
Okay, under unfinished business or new business, it doesn't matter. Since we have a new member, new Austin, we have, excuse me, a list of committees. Is that in your, do you have a list of
Yes.
committees? Okay. So Wendy Carr has resigned. She was on finance and building and grounds. I would like to be on building and grounds with Linda, and especially since I live just a couple miles up the road, I would like to be on building and grounds. I was on literacy. I don't know what the future of that being included as a committee. So I would like to be on building and grounds and bookmobile. I can't speak for Linda. So literacy, I guess we'll put a question mark on. And that usually consisted of working with the director to plan the annual banquet. That usually was, we'd have meetings to plan that. But I don't know if that's going to be anything that we're involved with. So I need someone who would be willing to act as a treasurer, which consists of just looking at the report, discussing with the director if there are any issues or concerns. Cynthia, you're listed as personnel and literacy.
Right.
So, it always was that we would try to be on 2 committees. So by the next meeting, if you could look over and see what you're on, I'll try to find out if we're going to have any connection with the literacy going forward. I'll check that out with the commissioners. And then maybe by our next meeting, which will be in May, we can decide which committees we'd like to be part of. How does that sound?
Good.
I would speak now.
Do you want to speak now? Okay.
Well, I'd like to do the bookmobile.
Bookmobile. And,
Although actually that's too many, isn't it?
well,
or no?
well, no.
No,
I mean,
no.
we're kind of avoiding literacy for
Literacy.
right now.
Yeah,
So would you be able to stay on personnel and bookmobile?
right.
Okay. Carol, you're listed as system board, and we really only can have 1 voting representative.
We
And
can have more people there, but we only have one vote.
we have 1 vote, and you're the only vote. And I'm not sure on your bylaws, in the event that you could not attend the meeting, could another person representing the library have your vote?
Well,
Is that in your
That's-
bylaws?
I don't know if it's in our bylaws,
Okay.
but this is what's going on with I think it's the Sayre Library,
Yeah.
that they have 2 representatives
Oh, and 1 vote.
and 1 votes. It was because neither one could be at all the meetings.
Right.
So they
Take
run
turns.
2 and they rotate the 2 through. So they still only have 1 vote, but they sometimes have 2 people there.
So maybe we could have I'll just ask Leah that. If
Yeah.
we could have a second person listed, but still only 1 vote, in case you're on a trip or something.
Right.
So you're
So I don't
listed,
get everything.
pardon?
I don't always get everything.
Oh. A lot is said at the meetings, yes.
And she talks fast.
She
Yeah,
talks
it's hard to
very
keep up.
quickly. I struggle to get everything. Okay, and you still want to be on bookmobile too? And Mary Beth, you hadn't ever opted for anything.
I was
because
headed
when
toward
you-
literacy, but.
Yeah, literacy, so,
That's-
well, I'll find out about literacy and we'll work on that next time. You have a new sheet with updated member contacts, and so already we have to remove Wendy Carr. Everything's always in an edit state.
Sorry to interrupt, but
Is there
I
something?
think I prefer having my Gmail. It seems to work better as far as sending things.
So what is that
It's
exactly?
the same, but it will.
At
so it's
Gmail?
cporterceo@gmail.com.
Okay,
The SDNY still exists, but it just seems to be better as far as sending and
Okay.
receiving.
how about everybody else? Check your information for accuracy.
Oh, I see for some reason they have Jeff's email listed as mine. Clearly, that is not
Oh,
the case.
that's true, okay.
So I can, I did notice that. I apologize.
Okay, so you want to say it? I know we have it on our sheet, but
Yeah, so it's just my last name, Traub Hodgson, without a dash, and then R for
without a
Rebecca.
dash.
Yeah, without a dash. Traub Hodgson, no dash, R at bradfordco.org. And we'll make changes and print out a fresh copy.
Okay. And is there an R then, Trump Hodgson R?
R for
Yeah,
Rebecca,
for
yep.
Rebecca,
Yep.
okay.
It's the
At
same
Bradford
formula,
County.
yep.
Okay.
And
co.org.
it's HODGDON.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so that will be corrected. And our term of service is listed, but some of the things are frozen at this time, but luckily, the commissioners did decide to add Mr. Austin, and they will also examine Margaret's application and perhaps have a recommendation before our next meeting that perhaps you'd be joining the board. I don't know.
I don't either.
I mean, I don't, they didn't ever, well, Mr. Hodgson, Mr. Austin,
Sorry.
you, Austin, you know, we had met at the last meeting.
Right.
We had attended, and then you said you had put your application, you missed a page of the application, was the signature page? or
Yeah,
something?
well, I mean, I had already reapplied.
Yeah,
Um,
so.
Because when I first submitted it last October,
Mhm.
I was not aware about the second page.
Right,
Because
right.
all I had was one printed page.
Right.
But then I had a conversation
With
after the meeting with Mr. McClinkle and then also with Mr. Gates, and, you know, they said, okay,
Yeah.
you know, we're on board with it.
Right, and
They
then it
decided
was-
that was just to fill.
Right,
the
and that wasn't
unexpired.
in any discussion. I mean, Mr. McClinko said, would you be a good addition, you know, and I said, well, he seems like, you know, a nice gentleman. I had several conversations with you. And so then when you were approved, I had no knowledge that that was going forward,
Right.
but I'm glad it did. So, okay, anything else that we need to consider? Okay, well, our next meeting will be May 9th, 1 o'clock here. And hope you have good weeks and lots of sunshine, no injuries, no health concerns. Everything goes well. And we'll see you then. Meeting adjourned.